All right, what's up? In this one, we're going to talk about sperm production. Sperm production. How do we make our sperm? Our male gametes. Male gametes. Gamete is, again, something that is haploid, has half the genetic material. Haploid. Haploid has half the genetic material. Comes together with an egg, and now you got a human. All right, so we're just going to redraw kind of the scrotum and the testes, because that's where we make the sperm. Okay, so we got something like this. Bloom. All right, and we've got our testes, which something like that. Looks like a little eggy. And inside of this, we've got a bunch of these tubules. Like if you were to cut open a testy, I'm not going to be able to do this justice just because of time, but we would have something like this. Just a bunch of spaghetti noodles all up in here. Convoluted tubules. Okay, and this is to increase surface area, right? Because we're making millions of sperm every single day. Okay, and most of the production is happening down here in these seminiferous tubules. Seminiferous tubules. That's what these are called. Seminiferous tubules. Okay. And these guys, if we were to stretch them out, they would be about 400 to 600 meters long. All right. It's pretty crazy. In a whole human. Not in just one testicle. In a whole human. In a human. These are the site of sperm synthesis. Site of sperm synthesis. Okay. Then if you remember up on the top, we got this guy. This epididymis. We got our testicle. And then we've got our epididymis. Well, the epididymis, not really all that different than the seminiferous tubules, except it has a slightly different function. So it also is a bunch of wavy tubes, like so. And it wraps around kind of the back here also, like that. And then we go into, like, I'll change the color a little bit, the ductus deferens, right, which then goes and wraps up and goes up there. All right, so this is the epididymis. Epididymis. And this is where sperm mature. Sperm maturation, like making sure that they actually swim properly and all that. It's like sperm college, sperm maturation, sperm college. It's up in the epididymis. So they're made here, they're all born here, and then they kind of swim up here, and then they're kind of hanging out in the epididymis, and they go to sperm college, and then they're kind of hanging out there, and also in the ductus deferens. And when ejaculation occurs, they get expelled up out of the epididymis, up through the ductus deferens. This is the ductus deferens. And this conducts sperm to urethra. Okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to cut through here. We're going to cut through, do a cross section of one of these guys right here. So we're going to do a little cross section. Cross section of a seminiferous, not nefarious, niferous tubule. Okay. And this is pretty cool. We're going to see how sperm actually develop. Okay, so boom. Draw this pretty big. So this is a cross section through the tube. So in the center we would have kind of the apical surface of cells. This is the lumen or the hole within the seminiferous tubule. And kind of going all around this, we got these big, large cells. Big old huge cells like this. All right, and these guys would have nuclei. Draw him to the side there. Okay, now around the base, out here, we actually have another set of cells. Like so. And they'd have their nucleus, like that. Okay, so these are called Sertoli cells. Sertoli cells. And these are spermatogonium cells. Spermatogonium cells. Okay, it's really weird. So our sperm are made from these spermatogonium cells. But these cells are contained within these other cells, these Sertoli cells. And this is important for their development. And I'm going to give you guys a bunch of terms that you may be familiar with, but I'm going to be teaching on these topics in the next session. So just bear with me if they don't make sense. I'll try to explain them to the best of my ability. So what happens is this cell divides. This cell divides to make a copy. It's an exact copy. Okay, makes an exact copy. Okay, that process when we make a copy is called mitosis. Mitosis. All right. So this is diploid. And this is diploid. This cell that I'm going to make right here. Okay. Right. It made a copy of itself. It didn't change the amount of DNA it has. Okay. All right, now what it does is now it goes through to make haploid cells. So we're going from diploid now to haploid. This process is called meiosis. Meiosis. And it has now made haploid cells. Okay, this is actually meiosis 1. And I'll talk about in next week exactly what those are. So you'll know what these are in more detail next week. We're going to spend a whole week on that stuff. Okay, meiosis 1. And these are now haploid. They have half the genetic material. Okay? These now go through meiosis 2. to make 4 cells. Each contains, and we'll talk about exactly how all that works. It's pretty cool. These are still haploid. They only contain one version of each chromosome. And we'll talk about how all that works, so don't worry if it's confusing right now. It'll probably still be confusing even next week. Oh, and this process, I didn't label it, is called meiosis 2. Meiosis 2. All right, and then these cells fuse out with this membrane, and they kind of stay embedded a little bit, or kind of attached, and then they start to grow these tails that face outward, like so. And it's actually kind of the flow of the material in the seminiferous tubule that allows the tails to grow. So now these are immature sperm. Immature sperm. These are also haploid, and they are called gametes. Okay? And just some fun facts again. Approximately 40 million new sperm are made each day. And it takes about 50 days from the first cell division to mature sperm. So it takes you about 50 days, about 2 months, to go from the process of like having this first cell division occur from the spermatogonium cell to mitosis, this mitosis to occur, and then for meiosis 1, meiosis 2, and then for these to start to become an immature sperm, and then go up to the epididymis to become then mature sperm. We're not going to really talk about how that goes or how sperm mature, just because we don't really have time. Okay, and this is happening in all of these Sertoli cells all throughout the seminiferous tubules. All right, so it's a pretty slow process. It takes about 2 months. So that means every cell is only doing this like 6 times a year. But there's multiple spermatogonium cells in each Sertoli cell. And there's a bunch of Sertoli cells all throughout the seminiferous tubules. That'd be a fun number to do and then do the math on. Okay, but that's how the male gametes are made. That's sperm production. I'll see you guys. We're going to switch over to the female anatomy in the next one. All right, I'll see you guys there.